and welcome to Genealogy Coffee Break, brought to you by us, the genealogy librarians at the Center for Jewish History. My name is Moria Amit, and I'm here with my colleagues from the Center's Genealogy Institute and Reading Room. Today, we'll show you why and how to use Yizkor or memorial books to enrich your genealogical research. During today's episode, feel free to send us your questions via the comments box and we'll answer them live. If we don't get to your question, or you're not watching live, you can always email your questions to us at gi@cjh.org. We are also available for more intensive one-on-one Zoom consultations as needed. You may watch today's episode immediately after it airs, as well as all of our previous episodes at cjh.org/genealogy coffee break. Did you know that we offer free Zoom workshops for groups? Group workshops are free for genealogical societies, nonprofit organizations, religious institutions, and schools. And the group doesn't have to be Jewish. Topics range from online genealogy basics to preserving your family photos and documents. And for Jewish groups, we can tailor your workshop to a specific region of the Jewish diaspora, including Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Mizrahi backgrounds. Please email gi@cjh.org to schedule a Zoom workshop for your group. Before I delve into online resources, I wanted to first explain what Yizkor Books, or otherwise known as memorial books, are. These were books that were compiled in the post-World War II period by ad hoc committees of survivors to commemorate their hometown or region and the loved ones that they lost in the Holocaust. As survivors became settled in their new homes, especially in Israel, the US, and Argentina, many joined Landsmannschaften, which were mutual aid societies that had been formed decades earlier by immigrants from their hometowns. Within the Landsmannschaften, ad hoc groups took on the task of creating memorial books, eventually inspiring an international grassroots enterprise involving thousands of people over several decades. Because they were intended for distribution among fellow survivors from the same town or region, these books were published privately and in limited quantities, and they were predominantly written in Hebrew and/or Yiddish. So the typical Yizkor book is made up of 4 sections. The first one is the history of the town or region's Jewish community. The second one, personal recollections of notable events, institutions, and people in the community in the pre-war period, which is roughly from about 1900 through the end of the 1930s. And then the third part is a history and eyewitness accounts of the community during World War II. And finally, it concludes with a list of the community's Holocaust victims, which is known as a necrology. While this is the standard way these books are arranged, there are certainly variations amongst them. Yizkor books are not just valuable to historians, but should be considered as a tool in your genealogical toolkit. Why? Because they contain things like necrologies and other lists of people from a particular town or region. Lots of visual materials, including things like photos of people and places in the town, drawings, maps, including hand-drawn maps, as remembered by survivors, and images of documents such as passport pages of survivors or the front page of the local Jewish newspaper of that town. Also, there are often biographies of prominent residents of the town, so that may be of interest if you, for example, have an ancestor who was the town rabbi in the pre-war period, and descriptions of the community's political, economic, religious, and cultural life can add some depth and context to your understanding of your family's history. And finally, it provides information about the community's demise in the Holocaust period and about the diaspora of surviving residents. So all of those things can offer you clues about your family's history. Beginning in the 1950s, Yad Vashem, which is Israel's Holocaust Memorial Museum, embarked on a massive project to compile basic historical and demographic information on over 6,000 Jewish communities that were destroyed in the Holocaust. The outcome of this project was the publication of a series of encyclopedias in Hebrew known as Pinkasei Keilot, or record books of the communities. These cover 11 different countries across Europe and North Africa, and many of the entries in these encyclopedias describe small communities whose survivors were too few to create Yizkor books of their own. In 2001, Yad Vashem published an abridged English translation of this series under the title The Encyclopedia of Jewish Life Before and During the Holocaust. And why am I mentioning these two series? Even though the Pinkasei Keilot are not technically Yizkor books, you will often find them listed among the Yizkor books for a particular town or region. Yizkor book titles always contain the name of a particular town or region. However, because place names are highly variable, and the transliteration of place names from Yiddish or Hebrew to English has not been consistent, websites with Yizkor book collections list the books according to the modern English spelling of place names. Therefore, before you begin to explore the online resources I will highlight today, I recommend that you first search the Jewish Gens Communities database to locate the modern name of your ancestral town. So in this example, you may have heard that your family came from a town called Oshmana or Oshmani, which are some of the historical variations of this place name. But if you look for it in the Jewish Gen Communities database, you will find that the modern name for the same town is Ashmiani, and therefore you would be looking under the letter A rather than the letter O. The New York Public Library, in partnership with the Yiddish Book Center, digitized 650 Yizkor books from their combined collections. To open a particular book, go to the website on this screen, click on the initial letter of the town name, so for example the letter J, and then scroll down until you find the name of the town that you're looking for, and click on one of the adjacent links. You'll click on the New York Public Library Digital Collections link if you just want to simply view the book, or the Yiddish Book Center link if you'd like to save it to your computer or print it. Please note that you'll be viewing the book in its original language, usually Yiddish and or Hebrew, which leads me into my next point. Since 1997, Jewish Gen has coordinated volunteer and member-sponsored projects to translate Yizkor books and the Pinkasei Keilot series into English. Thus far, more than 100 books have been fully translated, and more than 700 others have been partially translated. To find out which books have been translated for your ancestral town, go to the website on this screen, click on the initial letter of the town name, as you can see in this right-hand corner. Scroll down until you find the name, and then click on the link for the associated Yizkor book. If a Yizkor book for your ancestral town has only been partially translated, please consider making a donation to an existing translation project. If it is not on the list at all, please consider volunteering to coordinate a translation project for your Yizkor book of interest. By contributing to the Jewish Gen Yizkor book project, you will be ensuring that your landsmen, now and in the future, will also be able to learn about the history of your shared ancestral town. Genealogyindexer.org is the best place to search for an ancestor's name within Yizkor books. At this point, about half of the New York Public Library's digitized books can be searched on this site, but their ultimate goal is to make all of these digitized books searchable in the near future. Genealogy Indexer allows you to search for names using either the Latin alphabet or the Hebrew or Yiddish alphabet. It is recommended that you try both. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the Hebrew alphabet, you can use an English to Hebrew or Yiddish transliteration tool, such as the one on stevemorse.org, in order to find out how to spell a particular name in Yiddish. So I will show you what that looks like now. So we're on the genealogyindexer.org website, and let's say I want to look for a branch of my family that went by the name Auerbach. And in this case, I highly recommend that you try to select a particular region where your family was from. So in this case, I'm going to choose Galicia. Now, with the type of match, you have a few different choices. I would recommend trying each of them to see if perhaps different results emerge. The Soundex will help you find names with similar spellings, and the OCR adjusted option helps you to discover letters that are frequently confused in the optical character recognition system, which is behind what makes these pages searchable. So in this case, I'm going to just choose one of them, the OCR adjusted. And it's also important to click on more options here, where you'll be able to narrow down your search just to Yizkor Books. And the other important option is to change add Latin to Cyrillic to add Latin to Cyrillic and Hebrew, which will allow you to find instances of Auerbach written in the Hebrew alphabet. As I explained before, many of these books are written in the Hebrew alphabet. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit search. And there are 40 potential matches, including for a number of different towns in the region of Galicia. My particular Auerbach family came from Krakow, so I might choose to open this and see what kind of information about Auerbach might be on this page. Now, if you don't read Hebrew or Yiddish but would like to understand what is stated on a particular page, then I recommend going back to the Jewish Gen Yizkor Book Translations site and see if that particular book has been translated into English. Now you will find occasional matches to English language books or sections of books. So I will open this as an example. This is the Galicia Yizkor book. And here, if I make this larger, we find a listing of former residents of Galicia who now live, or as of 1981, lived in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And there are a few Auerbachs on here, so potentially these are surviving members of my family, Chaim, Wolf, and Moses. I want to talk a little bit about finding books that are not available online. So only around 55% of all known Yizkor books are currently available online. Therefore, I encourage you not to give up if you don't find one online for your particular ancestral town. You can use Jewish Gen's Yizkor Book database to find out what Yizkor Books exist for your town and which libraries hold those books. And that's the website listed on this screen. This example shows if you enter the town Bonihad, which is in Hungary, you will find that there is a book. There's a book published about it called Bonihad, a Destroyed Community, the Jews of Bonihad, Hungary, and a listing of a number of the libraries that have that particular book. I do encourage you to click on the WorldCat link for a more current listing. The Center for Jewish History's YIVO library holds over 750 of these Yizkor books, as well as a complete series of the Pinkas Hakelot. So the best way to find out if your book of interest is among these is by searching our online catalog at search.cjh.org. While the center is closed, you may still email our reading librarians at inquiries@cjh.org to request copies of up to 1/3 of a book for a fee. And finally, for further information and resources on Yizkor Books, please check out our research guide on this subject at the website on this screen. If you have questions, you may write to us now via the comments box. If we don't get to your question during this episode, we will respond to you by private message. Or if you're not watching live, please feel free to email us your questions at gi@cjh.org. For updates on this and other Center for Jewish History programs, please join our email list at bit.ly/CJHE-news. If you enjoyed this program, we hope you'll consider making a small donation at cjh.org/donate now. Any amount will help us to put on programs like this one. Thank you for watching and participating, and we look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. for the next episode of Genealogy Coffee Break. Until then, good luck in your search and enjoy your week.